things that we wish we knew before we moved out here to beautiful St. George, Utah, as well as a bonus that we're going to give you at the end. This is one that people have told us. It didn't apply to us, but a lot of people have told us this. So let's get started with number one. I wish we'd known, what does it mean to be new, right? Because every city in the United States, it's kind of different, right? Like if you're in New Orleans, new is 100 years old, right? And here, what is new?
Or more. Like, yeah, seriously. Yeah, so here, new is really kind of new. I mean, so like there's actually a good amount of new construction happening here. And on top of that, so a lot of constructions happen like post, let's say 2010, 2015 and onward. So that's like, I would say 2015-ish and onward, like it's about 10 years and newer is kind of more new, right? Because you kind of have just kind of like the styling and all that other stuff that's more current with what today's aesthetic is. Now, of course, that could change tomorrow, but that's just kind of where we're at with things. And whereas, like where we came from, stuff that was built just post 2000 was
that's new.
Like that's new, like crazy new. And the thing is that it's definitely newer, but like you definitely see the difference, especially when you see in building in mass that's happening. So and then stuff that's built in the 1980s, 1990s, you're like, okay, that's kind of old actually.
Yeah, it's ancient.
Not as bad. It's just that it's just totally different vibe.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that the thing that anyone who's choosing a home that's for built in the 1980s or something, they're usually doing it because they really want that big lot, right? That's one of the big trade-offs between new construction is that generally speaking, you're getting like a really small lot. But yeah, that's one thing that for us, like we didn't get how something that was built in 2000 here, like that's old. Like
yeah, and actually I will say this too, like that kind of does make me think about like a lot of places you get a property that's kind of older and beat up and you put work into it to beautify it. Again, that does happen here, but at the same time, I would like kind of hearkening back, I probably would have gone there with a property that's a bit more turnkey. It doesn't have to be sparkling, beautiful, but a total gut job, that's a lot of work. And again, it's still going to be an older property. So just kind of understanding the area now.
Yeah.
Like I would more avoid that type of, me personally, everyone's different. Maybe, you're super handy and you love to do this stuff and you love the look of an older property and the flow of it. But the thing is that the newer the property, the more open floor plan, if you like it, and again, that tends to be how builders are building now. They're not doing the whole formal living room, formal dining room, that kind of thing. They're doing the open layout, and that tends to be kind of what's resonating currently. And so if you bought a more existing, like an older property, and you wanted that similar flow, now you're taking down walls, maybe you're dealing with support issues, then you're doing full blown gut, like changing out the kitchen, flooring, like just all this work. And at the end of the day, I don't know how much that moves the needle that much. Whereas again, other areas, that's all you can do. Like if you're buying a property in New York, like you're dealing with, like if you're buying a brownstone or something like that, you're gonna just have to gut it, and it just is what it is. Here you have options, and again, that's where we would help you find out specifically what's important for you and find properties that fit that need. So before we continue, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Sean Dezad.
And I'm Courtney Dezad, and we are licensed real estate agents here in the state of Utah.
And if you're watching this channel, you might be thinking, wow, Sean, I love St. George. I love the red rocks. I love the clear skies. I can't wait to move out here now. The problem is I'm not local. I may be even out of state, so I don't know what to do. And I totally get that. That's why you want to reach out to us, because we work with a team with over 40 years of experience here in the St. George area. So we know this area like the back of our hand, and we can take all the little nooks and crannies, and we can really give you a really good sense of what's going on here. We can be your boots on the ground to find you that perfect property. We can even do virtual tours of not just the actual unit itself, but also the area. So when you do come out here, your time is spent super efficiently. So what you want to do is you want to give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country. Another thing that we wish we'd known is that the price of homes here is really much more dependent on price per square foot and then just like the actual condition of the home rather than location. In other areas of the country, you can buy a shack. If it's in a certain location, it'll still be insanely expensive compared to the same thing somewhere else. Like here, you wanna talk about that?
Yeah, that is really, it's an interesting aspect, right? There's really because a lot of the area is just nice. And it's weird because sometimes you have things get more gradually nice, like gradually, like less desirable, whatever that might be to anybody. But the thing is or more valuable or less valuable. And the thing is that here you just have these outcroppings of, let's say, these developments that take place. And there's really no rhyme or reason to them. It's just like, okay, they're here because everything is close. That's the thing. So you're not going way out in the boondocks to kind of find something. You're getting something that's, like relatively, seemingly everything's about 15 minutes from city center. So you just have these outcroppings right next to some older construction or some not as nice stuff. Like if it's like a 5,000 square foot house, might be next to like some townhomes or something like that, where the pricing is dramatically different, even though they're right next to each other. Again, that's not like how the people price things. Now, there are outliers, of course, like places like Enchada or places like Stonecliff, these kind of more gated communities and that kind of thing where, again, so location actually kind of does matter there. Or if you're like right on a golf course, maybe some of that, or views. So there are things that can offset where a location does mean something, but honestly, the vast majority of the time, it's just size and condition and age to an extent.
Now, another thing that we'd wish we'd known is just how inconvenient it is to get alcohol. And we say this like we're not drinkers, like we're very boring. I say this more as someone who really likes to cook, and even just, getting wine for, Thanksgiving dinner. It's like such a pain because you have to go to the state liquor store, which is also more expensive. And it also has, not as open hours as maybe a regular liquor store would have at any other state. So
yeah. So basically, so you can get beer pretty much in any grocery store, right? So that's pretty ubiquitous. So if it's below a certain percentage of alcohol content, you're fine. Mm-hmm. But anything beyond that, that's where you're dealing with even wine, right? So even wine and up, as far as with the harder alcohols, you're going to need to go into a state, say a state-sponsored liquor store where that's where you're going to get it. Unless you're in St. George. Again, it's just less convenient. Yeah. And so if you do like to drink, basically prepare to buy your stuff a little bit earlier, buy more in bulk, so that way you do have that option without having to wait because some of these stores aren't even open on Sunday, right?
Yeah, they're not open on Sunday, and also state holidays. So if it's Labor Day or something and you decide, hey...
So that's when people would want to drink.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have to prepare. Or, even, if I just find a cool recipe or something because I'm a big foodie, and if it's a Sunday, I'm like, well, I guess I can't make it because it calls for sherry, right? So, yeah.
This is what it is.
Another thing that we'd wish we'd known is that the restaurants here are really, really limited. It's not to say that there aren't some good restaurants here, but it's just if you're from a place where there's a lot of different variety, you can get whatever you want. It's not like it is here. Yeah,
and it's kind of good and bad. So it's obviously annoying from the extent that you don't have the sheer variety. Again, understanding that we're just a smaller population, right? So the whole Washington County area is about 200,000 people. So we have restaurants that you can go to. It's just that if you're kind of okay, I want to have this same genre, but I'm tired of going to this restaurant. There's there aren't that many alternatives.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously if you're in Las Vegas,
yeah.
There's
you get everything.
So many things. So if you're coming from a big metropolitan area, you'll definitely find that it's limited. Again, good news is that Las Vegas is an hour and 45 minutes away because most likely you're not going to be eating out at a super luxury restaurant every night.
Yeah.
So basically, taking that little trek down to Las Vegas, you can get all the dining options that you could ever ask for.
Yeah, but here it's kind of we have our 3 restaurants, and that's really all we ever go to.
That's our particular palate, our particular go-tos. Now, again, the good part of this is that it does force us to eat more at home.
Yeah.
Which is obviously, again, it's healthier and all that other stuff, but again, it's just one of those things.
Yeah. Another thing we'd wish we'd known is just how hard the super dry air can be on you, especially in the winter.
Yes.
We basically had to just start sleeping with humidifiers, us and our kids, because Sean even got laryngitis because he couldn't talk because of the dry air.
Yeah, you don't realize it because it's dry, right? It's so, and actually that's one of the reasons why we came here, was because you're looking in different areas around the country, and some of the stuff is super humid and absolutely miserable because of that humidity, right? So we didn't want to deal with that, but on the other end, this is what they call bone dry. This is very dry. You put your towel out, if you hang it out to dry, within 10 minutes, it's pretty much totally dry, right?
Yeah.
Whereas other places it's just perpetually wet. It just never gets dry. So here it just gets dry. And in the winter, like you're mentioning, in particular, it does, because the air becomes cold and naturally more dry anyway. Man, I just, again, it's one of those things that humidifier actually has made a world of difference. So the best investment you can get, to kind of combat this, is just have a humidifier going, maybe put on your nightstand. Again, I've actually noticed a big difference by doing that. So humidifiers all the way.
Yeah. Another thing that we wish we'd known is just how important it is to have either a pool at your house or like a really, really solid pool if you're buying in an HOA. Because depending on the HOA, like sometimes you're like, that pool kind of sucks.
Or it doesn't have that pool at all. It
Yeah.
doesn't have a pool at all. So so like depending on the HOA, they may or may not even have a pool, or they might have like, that's a pool? Like, okay,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could, if you look really, squint your eyes, you're going, okay, maybe that's a pool. I don't know. But basically, having a pool option is nice. It's obviously, of course, in the summer because it does get hot here.
Yeah.
To have that afternoon, like, lounging by the pool, or at least that option to do it is nice. So, like, take into account that I wouldn't disregard a pool. Like, some other areas, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Here, it's really nice to have a pool, or at least, again, have one in your general proximity.
Yeah, like if you're from an area where a pool is kind of not worth the trouble because you don't really use it that much, that's not like it is here. Like if you will be using that pool, in fact, almost living in that pool in the summer. So
yeah, it's really nice to have that pool because again, how it gets in the summer, the mornings are actually rather pleasant, and then it gets hot. Like so, from about 11 o'clock on, it's cooking, and the heat kind of persists into the late afternoon, into the evening even. And so that's kind of like, that's like pool time, right? So like that late afternoon, like that dusk kind of range there, really nice time to be at the pool. And if you have one.
Yeah. Another thing we'd wish we'd known is just how important a 3-car garage is. And for 2 different reasons. So like, what are these reasons?
So one is just pure resale value because people actually come here, they do like to have a 3-car garage. So that's one aspect of things, right? Is just to have it for the pure resale value of it. The second reason is just like your own use and utility of it. So whether you just need extra storage, which no one I know like has that need at all. So 1, extra storage, or 2, you do have all the toys, right? So we get a lot of people, they have the ATVs, they have all that stuff, the dirt bikes. Obviously, where are they going to park it? That 3rd-car garage slot is fantastic for that option. So if you got the toys and stuff, and of course, if you want to go super big, then you get the RV garage, and then you're going big time. And that thing's kind of, again, where we come from, that's not really a thing.
Yeah.
Like, so you're going, wow, that RV garage is massive. It's like really deep, really tall, and really wide. And like that's just like their 3rd-car garage slot. Like you could just live in that thing. I mean, that thing is huge, but. So if you want to go big on that one, RV garage all the way.
And now the last thing we're going to talk about, this doesn't apply to us, but people have told us like they'd wish they'd known when they bought new construction that they actually could work with a realtor, that they could work with somebody who represents them. They're not just working straight direct with the builder that only represents themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So people think that, I get like, I'm like going to a car dealer lot, right? Almost in a way, like I'm just buying a car. You're like when you're buying a house, even though it's new construction, that doesn't mean it's perfect. It's not like, the builder may not, like there are timelines associated to things, like when it will get done, when the escrow will close, there's financing going on. There's also like the whole aspect of some negotiating, getting incentives, making sure, again, what the builder promised is delivered, making sure what the builder built is actually done right. So like, like working with a home inspector and all these other things. So it's much more like a conventional transaction than this whole other type of transaction altogether. So like having a realtor at your side to kind of like guide you through it, again, like is super important. It's not like something that costs out of pocket any additional money. Like, builders, this is part of their marketing budget. And so like they cooperate with buyers agents. So they understand this is part of the process too. It's just that if you're going with the builder, so like I've had people reach out to me going, I wish I had, known this or talked to you beforehand, because when sometimes you talk to someone, they're already in the process of, they're already in escrow with a builder. I just kind of feel bad for them because I'm going, oh my gosh, like you're going in blind, like no one has your back. Because remember, when you're going to the builder, that whole sales staff, like they're not looking out for your interests. They're looking out for their boss, right? Like they know who they work for and they're working for them. And so you don't have anyone in your corner. Again, I just kind of feel bad because I hope that, nothing goes wrong in that transaction, but you have a much better chance of having a smoother transaction if you have someone at least on your side. And remember, we are licensed realtors here in the state of Utah. So as much as we love making these videos, what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, what you want to do is you want to give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country.